Hey, today the developers just released a brand new patch that I'll be showcasing the before and after changes for some things. They ended up buffing several items such as the Pacifier, Urchin grenade, flame sentry, bayonets, and so much more. Plus, that's not all. There's even more to cover. If you enjoyed the content, please show some love by hitting the like button. I'd really appreciate it. Let's jump right in. Okay, let's start with the G109 Urchin grenade, which previously couldn't stun larger enemies like the Biltine, for example. Many players were unhappy that this wasn't possible when it was first released with the Force of Law Warbond. However, after the latest patch, which is today, I'm happy to say the developers have buffed it, so we can now stun larger enemies like the Biltine. It now staggers them with each pulse. What I like to show now is whether it works on larger enemies such as factory striders and impalers, since we know that wasn't feasible previously with the Force of Law Warbond. With that, let's see what happened. So what I found out is that it works well on the impalers. Unfortunately for the factory striders, it's ineffective, and the harvesters are affected against it. The next grenades to receive a buff are the G10 Incendiary and the G13 Incendiary Impact grenades. The developers have increased the fire duration, allowing the flames to last longer and burn multiple enemies that walk through them. For example, before the update, a video clip I recorded shows the G13 Incendiary Impact's flames lasting around 13 seconds, which is decently long if you think about it. Surprisingly, the G10 Incendiary lasts even longer, with its flames burning for about 18 seconds. Now let's see how long they last when we compare the two after the recent patch. With the grenade buffs out of the way, let's look at what's happening with the P92 Warrant sidearm released last month in the Superstore. The developers have made a change, as noted in the patch notes, that now allows the Warrant to target larger enemies. Previously, this wasn't possible, as you all know, but now we can lock onto larger enemies like the Biltine, Alpha Commander, or Brood Commander, as you'll see here. It's great to see a change like this, and I think it was a smart move considering it didn't make sense before why we couldn't target these larger enemy types. Next up, we have primary weapon buffs like the AR-32 Pacifier, which wasn't necessarily hated, but also wasn't loved when it was first released. However, it might receive some more love now than before. The developers buffed it by increasing the stun duration from 1.5 seconds to 3 seconds. The starter magazine has also been increased from 5 to 6 mags, and the maximum number of magazines we can carry has risen from 7 to 8. They also noted a slight increase to the stun value that's applied to enemies. The difference overall is night and day. You can see the changes in the ammo capacity and the massive improvements in stunning enemies. The longer stun duration is fantastic, and it's great to know the developers are taking feedback to improve weapons. Speaking of improved weapons, the SMG-72 Pummeler has also received a buff, with its stun duration increased from 1.5 seconds to 3 seconds, making it quite similar to the AR-32 Pacifier's stun duration, as you can tell. I was surprised to see they buffed the SMG-72 Pummeler, as it's been a while, and I didn't think it would receive any more love, but I'm glad I was wrong. On that note, another primary I didn't expect to get another buff is the ARC-12 Blitzer. The developers have slightly increased the stun value applied to enemies, which is somewhat noticeable in this clip. Nevertheless, it's been buffed. Finally, the last two primaries that received a buff are the R2124 Constituion and the R2 Amendment. They specifically increased the stagger strength of their bayonets from 20 to 25, and you can somewhat notice the differences between the two. Moving along, let's go over stratagem buffs, starting with the GL-52 De-Escalator. It's another weapon that received a stun buff. While not incredible, it's a solid change that should make a difference on the battlefield. The second stratagem is the A-Flam-40 Flame Sentry, which received a huge fire damage resistance buff, increasing from 0% to 95%. They also reduced its cooldown from 150 seconds to 100 seconds. The main reason for the resistance change is that the Flame Sentry would sometimes ignite and destroy itself. On a different note, the A-Flam-40 Flame Sentry cooldown is now the same or somewhat very close to the MG Sentry cooldown, meaning we can deploy more Flame Sentries more often. The last stratagem I'd like to discuss is the CQC-1, One True Flag. While this change isn't a buff, it's certainly one that many Helldivers will appreciate, especially those who enjoy using it. The developers have updated the flag so you can now plant it into enemies, whether they're alive or dead, such as a Bile Titan or Chargers. Additionally, alongside changes to primaries, secondaries, and stratagems, the developers have balanced the Firebomb Hell Pods and Stun Pod Booster. I'm not sure if this will motivate you to use it more often, but they've reduced the stagger strength from 80 to 15 to prevent ragdolling. They also decreased the demolition strength from 40 to 20, so before anyone calls this a nerf, it's not. They made these adjustments because they added the standard Hell Pod explosion effect, so these boosters will still destroy buildings, fabricators, and anything else you target. I want to emphasize this because I know many Helldiver fans dislike nerfs, and rightfully so, but this change to the Firebomb Hell Pods and Stun Pods booster is not a nerf or anything close to it. It may look like one on paper, yet it's not what you think. On a related note about ragdolling, the developers made a significant adjustment to Helldivers. They've reduced the ragdoll duration from 0.8 seconds to 0.5 seconds, meaning we can recover much faster. This will greatly help with dodging the Overseer's staff swings and in other situations as well. Additionally, they increased the chest bleed injury damage from 1 to 10, making the damage more noticeable and impactful. Moving forward, we've got 3 enemy adjustments that are quite helpful, including a change to the Automaton Scout Strider's leg armor, which has been decreased from 3 to 2, with its legs' durable resistance also increased. What makes this such an awesome change is that you can now use any light armor penetrating weapon to destroy the Scout Strider's leg, ultimately taking it out for good. This gives you a variety of weapon options, such as the Liberator, or maybe the P19 Redeemer. There are plenty of choices on the table now, allowing you to use whichever light armor penetrating weapon works best for you. It's great to know we no longer have to run around the Scout Strider to take out the Automaton pilot controlling it, making them much easier to defeat. The second change affects the Illuminate Overseers, where the developers have decreased the unarmed torso health zone's armor from 2 to 1. This means once you destroy the Overseer's chestplate, the unarmored torso is now much easier to damage. Lastly, for enemies, they've increased the jib damage on warriors from 500 to 750. They explained that this determines how much damage is needed to completely explode the body instead of leaving a corpse behind. On a different note, something I didn't bring up, which I probably should have sooner, but hey, I'll do it now. You can now set large enemies on fire quickly, and it's insane to see that finally here now, because now we can light up those Bile Titans and Chargers quickly, which is phenomenal to see. Finally, let's go over some fixes. There are several issues to cover, but I'd like to start with the Gunslinger passive. Previously, a bug caused this passive to slow down the draw speed of your secondary weapon instead of speeding it up. After the recent patch, it now works correctly and is no longer bugged. You can equip any armor with the Gunslinger passive and it will function as intended, letting you draw it fast. Additionally, the developers resolved an audio issue with the R2124 Constituion and fixed a known issue with the entrenchment tool. Next, there was an enemy bug that I wasn't aware of, where status effect damage was being applied more times than intended. Furthermore, they've patched 3 mission bugs, including issues with the stratagems not functioning correctly and terminate illegal broadcast objectives, a path and bug for uplink objectives, and a bug affecting intel objectives. Lastly, there are a few miscellaneous fixes that I don't think are worth going over in detail, but I'll show the full list here. So yeah, that covers all the patch notes. I believe the developers did an outstanding job balancing and buffing the AR-32 Pacifier and other stun weapons. They went all out on this update. The one thing I would have liked to see is a buff for the CQC-11 True Flag to make it more useful. What are your thoughts on the patch, and is there anything you would have liked to see receive a buff? If so, comment below and let me know. We're now going to continue along and discuss information about Helldivers 2 that you may not know. Arrowhead's senior material artist revealed on YouTube that they started with only 20 employees and developers when creating Helldivers 2, with development beginning in 2016. They grew to 105 employees and developers, and later revealed they currently have 130 employees, along with some co-dev studios. I think this is amazing. I should note this information might have changed since we know they've hired more people at Arrowhead. Either way, it's incredible to see how much progress they've made and how many people they've hired. They're only going to continue growing from here, and hopefully they'll produce some stellar game titles in the future. It's going to be exciting to see where they go from here. So there's one more thing I'd like to update you on. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, I showed you some secret codes to type down samples in the chat. You can actually type out more mysterious icons that I'm not too sure what they could mean, if this means there's more samples or maybe they have more ideas for samples. But you can see right here, this is an image from one of my fellow members, fellow Helldivers, over on the Glitch Unlimited Discord, Sivrog, and shout out to you, man. But you can type down different ones and pop up different symbols just like this. And all you have to do is type down this code and then put a different number at the end, and it'll pop up something completely different. Anywho, I'd like to give a shout out to HCK. His mother has an animal shelter that just got absolutely destroyed during the floods in Texas. You all know what's going on there. Some of the animals desperately need help, whether that be surgery, their homes were destroyed, as well as missing and deceased owners. So this is very important. If you'd like to donate and help out, definitely do so. I'll leave a link below. So yeah, definitely donate if you'd like to. And also, I just want to quickly say that usually I leave some top comments. I'll do that in the next video. I'll include the top comments from yesterday's video and today's video. So there you go. Thank you for the support. If you haven't already, consider tapping the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't already. Thank you to everyone from members, subscribers, and lurkers. I'll see you in the next one.